Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay. Yesterday was my birthday, and I decided to upload an extra chapter as a gift for you all. At the same time, I thought I'd try a new voice for the video, but unfortunately, it didn't download properly. None of the voices I tried worked yesterday. I'd also like to ask for your feedback on the new voice. Do you think it's better than the previous one? If not, don't worry, I'll revert to the old voice for this video and future ones. If you like the new voice, I'll update all previous parts with it. Please share your opinion. Feel free to ask for any adjustments or further changes. Their vice captain introduced himself. He is called Iraz McGlane. Then he asked Bjorn how he knew that they were after the orc hero essence. Bjorn said that it was his own assumption. Iraz asked him how he could assume something like that. Bjorn said that he thought about why such a large-scale clan would come down to the third floor to take over the orc habitat, and they wouldn't have come with all those supplies if they were just here for the great orc warrior, which means that they must have had another goal. And that goal is the 5th rank monster orc hero, a kind of hidden boss that is summoned when you offer 777 magic crystals of the great orc warrior at that altar in the middle of the orc habitat. And the reason they had so many supplies was probably to prepare for the rare chance that an orc would appear. And since they have all those supplies, that means they didn't come across the orc lord. Iraz smiled and said that he figured that out. It's amazing. Then he asked Bjorn why they would need him. Bjorn said that he is a barbarian with the Immortal's seal, and he also possesses a vampire essence, a Rupture Guardian vampire at that, as well as a Golem's essence, which has the feature of pain tolerance. Then Iraz said that there is no need to go into details. Does that mean that he can fight while taking potions? Bjorn said yes, that's all. Then Iraz said that it's not bad for a third-floor explorer. No, in fact, compared to the 2 remaining warriors, he is quite amazing. Iraz was very happy. It was like all his previous worries were gone in an instant. He said that he will invest in him. Then Misha's brother said that the essence was requested by a noble. But Iraz told him that it's enough, and they can just say that the essence didn't drop. Investing in Bjorn is definitely worth it if they can save even one more clan member for just the cost of an essence. Well, it looks like not everyone is happy about this. Then Iraz asked Misha's brother to bring the essence. Bjorn was happy that he was through the first obstacle. There are 3 orc heroes that are summoned with the magic crystal sacrifice. Each one of them is a named monster with unique names. In other words, they're advanced mutants with essences that are a pain to deal with. That is the reason you need an assault squad, even if they're just 5th rank monsters. They are usually called the 3 orc brothers, and each of them drops a different colored essence. Danish drops a red essence imbued with the shout of passion. Velta drops a blue essence imbued with the flag of fighting spirit. And Targas drops a green essence with the skill that Bjorn's shouting is based on. The essence Bjorn got is the green one that he really wants, but since he got lucky in getting this, it makes him feel like something really bad is going to happen soon. He opened the test tube and absorbed the orc hero's essence. The essence increased his stats greatly. Strength increased by 70, agility increased by 35, fighting spirit increased by 40, physical resistance increased by 20, and bone hardness increased by 30. Bjorn could feel power boiling within him, and because of his heightened fighting spirit, he wanted to use this power right now. Suddenly, I got a thought in my mind. What will happen if you absorb the same type of essence more than once? Will it increase the level of the skill, or will the character not be able to handle it? Well, I don't know about that in this series, but I have a good thought about this in my story. Then, Iraz told Bjorn to take off his equipment first and use the scrolls and potions that he provided him. They are giving Bjorn a hefty amount. Bjorn gave his backpack that had his equipment to Misha to watch over. Then he started using scrolls. He used a physical attack defense scroll, 1 advanced concentration support scroll, and 1 energy regeneration support scroll. Then he grabbed a bunch of potion bottles together and drank them all. One of them he used was a strength reinforcement potion, which increased his strength by 10 temporarily. The other one was Spirit's Tears, which increased his elemental attack resistance by 10 temporarily. and the other one was Basilisk's Flask, which temporarily increased his pain tolerance by the same amount. Then their priest used a bunch of their blessings. The first one was Spirit's Protection, which increased his mental fortitude greatly. The second one was Flames of Regeneration, which increased his physical regeneration power greatly. And the last one was Coffin of Sacrifice, which sounded more like a curse than a blessing. It increased Bjorn's taunt value greatly, so now all monsters will be attracted to Bjorn. Now it's time for Bjorn's vampire skill, Owner of Blood, which he is going to use for the first time. Araz told Misha's brother that no matter what skill Bjorn will absorb, his will be the most helpful. I don't understand what class Iraz is. He clearly doesn't look like a mage or archer, and of course, he is definitely not a priest either. He didn't count himself when he was counting the remaining warriors either. Now, he also didn't let Bjorn absorb his skill so we can get some idea. Well, whatever. We will know eventually. After that, Misha's brother made a cut in his hand and let Bjorn absorb his blood. Of course, he was not very comfortable with it. Bjorn temporarily absorbed the Talon passive skill, Corrupt One. And yes, Talon is Misha's brother's name. It changed Bjorn's eye color, and after seeing Bjorn's eye color, Iraz understood that he took the Corrupt One. Bjorn looked dangerous with his glowing red eyes and dripping blood from his mouth. Corrupt One is a passive skill that decreases your essence max stats by 1, but in return, it increases the effectiveness of all the active skills by 1.5 times. Oh, Bjorn's eye color changed back. After that, Iraz told him that it's time to get going. Bjorn imagined the skill he earned through the Orc Hero's essence and used it. The skill is called Gigantification, and as its name implies, Bjorn started growing giant. Others were shocked even though they already knew about it. Bjorn's size also increased his taunt value and bodily stats. And of course, just like the Hulk, his clothes tore apart, and everyone was shocked by his size. I just can't imagine it. He is already giant compared to the girls, and if he used this skill by mistake in bed, I just can't imagine what will happen. But it looks like Misha really likes it. All the guys entered depression mode. So Iraz took off his cape and asked others to bring more capes because they needed to cover him. After that, Bjorn tied the ropes around to hide important things. Now he is ready to charge. Iraz said that only 30 minutes are left. Can he do it? Bjorn smiled and said, of course. Bjorn took a long breath and shouted and started running outwards. Now he feels that nothing is impossible for him. Then Iraz ordered everyone to keep up with him. Bjorn looks like he is wearing shorts. Now, behind Bjorn are 23 clan members, Misha, and 43 third-floor explorers. They joined Bjorn in return for giving up all of their equipment. Now, under Iraz's judgment, they are not only paying with their equipment, but with their lives as well. Bjorn used the sacrificial seal on them. This increased Bjorn's bodily stats in proportion to the number of sacrifices within a 100-meter range. Of course, sacrifice is just for name. It doesn't affect the people marked with the seal. Now Bjorn has so much power within him, along with the instinct to destroy. Thankfully, he doesn't need to repress this desire because he has countless miniature clones of Ryakis to destroy in front of him right now. Of course, the miniature clones are still over 2 meters tall, but they are small compared to Bjorn right now. He beat the dog out of them. This activated Ryaki's hatred, giving Bjorn a large amount of chaos-type damage. This is the reason the presence of a tank is important in the Crevice of Evil pattern. These self-destructive clones deal damage to the opponents that kill them. It's enough damage for Bjorn to feel pain despite all the pain tolerance. Of course, all he needs to protect is his heart thanks to the vampire essence. His passive skill, Source of Darkness, will not let him die as long as his heart is intact. So, if you're a squishy character that deals a lot of damage, whether you are a renowned swordsman or a famous archer, you are useless here. Iraz told Bjorn that it was dangerous and he didn't have to deal with so many at once. Well, that's not easy to do for Bjorn right now because with Gigantification active, the likelihood of aggroing other monsters increases with the taunt value based on what size you are. And since barbarians are already big, you can imagine how much more those two things have increased. He is basically in perpetual provocation mode. That's why the explorers behind him are safe. Talon tried to deal damage, but he was also affected by the damage reflection. Damage deflection dealt the same damage back to the attacker. Talon asked the priests what they were doing and insisted they should heal him. He is looking frustrated. Bjorn got angry at him and told him to stop getting injured for no reason and back off. Of course, Talon was not very happy with him. Bjorn wants to be the only one on the front lines, and the reason for that is his new passive skill that activates when his HP is below 50%. The passive skill is called Hero's Path, and this skill increases its owner's resistance and tolerance stats. This is the skill that Bjorn wanted the Orc Hero's essence in the first place. It increases all defense powers when your HP falls below 50%, and when your HP hits 20%, it maximizes its effects. So to utilize this as best as possible, he needs to be in front and take all the damage. So he told everyone not to come in front, and he will take it from here alone. Talon went back where he met the old mage. The mage said that it was indeed a wise choice of the vice captain. Who knows what might appear behind them? They can't just focus on the front. Talon said that's correct, but in reality, he is feeling terrible because if he attacks once, he is struck with horrible pain. That's why he had to fall back like an idiot. He was in front only for a short while, but he realized that all are the same there, and that is not something a human should be doing. He can't understand who Bjorn is. He just thought that he was just some stupid third-floor explorer who hangs around his halfling sister, and that he was nothing but a regular barbarian warrior who couldn't speak up when they told them to get out of the orc habitat, even despite the fact that he has pain tolerance and is a tank unlike him. He can't understand how it is that he doesn't hesitate in this situation. They say that it was true that there is no one on par with a barbarian's courage. People started saying that it would be great to have someone like him in the clan, and their vice captain sure has a good eye. They started asking his name and said that he had to be famous. He looked like someone who didn't know death, and they couldn't even imagine what would have happened if it weren't for him. Then they asked Misha who he was. She said that she didn't know. Then the old mage said that if Valken, who was called the hero of the barbarians, were to come back, then he thought that that's what he would look like. And there was no need to be curious about that barbarian's name because everyone would know his name soon. They could see the end. They sped up. They were almost there. And when Bjorn just stepped outside the zone, his soul power ended and the skill gigantification ended. But thankfully, he escaped the range of the crevice of evil. People started crying. They were very happy. They were happy that they survived. But the people that didn't make it out in time were not that lucky, and the entire orc habitat was vaporized in just a blink of an eye. That was close for Bjorn this time. The gigantification effect ran out right as they escaped. It's a miracle that they even escaped on time. Araz came to Bjorn and said that it was close, but they still needed to keep their guard up. He was right because after escaping the crevice of evil, the first phase's insta-kill ultimate, one of the survivors would be chosen as the prey. It's a 1 in 15 chance for Bjorn or Misha to be chosen, so it won't be them, or that's what he was thinking, but Misha said that she couldn't move her body. She couldn't move because she was chosen as the prey and had fallen into a state of paralysis. Bjorn couldn't believe his luck. Out of all people, she had to be the one chosen. Misha was confused about what happened to her. She asked Bjorn what was wrong with her and what this was. Then she saw other people and the look in their eyes. Even her brother looked away from her because all of them knew about the prey. The prey is a kind of debuff, and the person who is hit with this debuff will be incapable of moving and will become the sole target of Ryakis. In other words, Ryakis will chase the prey down until the prey is dead. Araz came and said how shocking it was to think that it would be his companion who became the prey. He said that they would protect her and asked Bjorn if he had any desire to join their clan. But Bjorn refused and said that he didn't intend on working for anyone right now. Araz said that it was a shame, and he wouldn't have had a choice if it was him who had been chosen to be the prey. Then he said that it was the end of their deal now, and he hoped to see him again in the city. Bjorn said if he made it back alive, that is. Araz said that he was sure that he would, because he had a feeling that he would make it back alive. Then he asked the mages and the priests to cast a buff on him and said that he hoped that this would help him even if by a little bit in his journey. The buffs they cast were Wind's Blessing, which greatly increased Bjorn's movement speed. The other blessing was Sail, which would help him regenerate his soul power quicker. Bjorn felt that they were nice enough because they were probably out of resources too. Bjorn was looking like he had just transcended the realm. Bjorn tied Misha on his back. She wasn't looking good. Then he said his thanks to Iraz. Iraz said, of course, to make sure that he survived because they would come after them if he ended up dead. Well, it was true. Bjorn smiled and said that it was time and they should get going. Now, only 15 minutes were left until the labyrinth closed, but it looked like these 15 minutes were going to be the hardest 15 minutes of his life. The Lord of Chaos, Reakis, had awakened again.